It's the PokerNews Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 839th episode of the PokerNews Podcast. I am Chad Holloway at Level 9 Studio in Las Vegas, joined by our resident DJ, Connor Richards, and the head coach for the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel. Or really, Kyle Anderson, the ambassador. But, I mean, come on, man. The resemblance is uncanny.
I think he stole my look, to be honest with you. I really think he just stole it. But, you know, Ontario, Miami, it's kind of the same thing.
I mean, I diehard
right?
Miami Dolphins fan here.
There you go.
Well, the audience is here, no doubt, to hear three men talking about a women's event, right? To be fair, Kaina was supposed to be here. She had very strong feelings about this, wanted to talk about it, but she is sick. We're going to talk about this 15-way chop at the Wynn. Now, it happened in a ladies' event, which is some people had issue with, some other ladies per se, but let's just talk about this in general. So it was the ladies' event at the Wynn. There was a social media post that said, congratulations to Lisa Childers on taking down the Wynn Summer Series $50K guaranteed $600 ladies' event in an amazing 15-way ICM chop. She got $9,868. Great win, Lisa. And to all the other women who were involved, and there's a group picture of all 15 of them. And I don't know, is this great, good, bad?
I'm all about it. You know, when I run deep in tournaments, the rare occasions that happens, I'm always the one proposing a chop. 15 ways is a little extreme, but I recently chopped something 6 ways, things like that. I don't know. I don't think of it as a bad thing. There were people who said, hey, you know, women want more respect in poker. They should play out an event like this. They shouldn't do an ICM chop. But look, depending on the structure of things, although it was at the Wynn, so I imagine it was a good structure, but I think there are definitely times when a chop can make sense. There are, of course, people who are team never chop. I don't know if you're one of those people, but what are your thoughts? Never chop?
So I'm team never chop. And when it comes to hearing something like this, the most important thing is as long as all 15 of the women agreed to it, nobody was pressured into it and everything, then it's their tournament. It's their situation. Let them do as they will. Granted, the title and the 15-way chop, I didn't think that could happen. So I'm pretty surprised to hear it. But again, if nobody was pressured into it, if nobody was uncomfortable with it, if they all agreed to it, it's their prize pool. They can do with it as they may. But I just would not agree to that if I was in this situation.
I think, one person who took issue with it on social media was somebody who has filled in as a co-host on this very podcast, Lindsay Clute, who goes by Lindsay is Rad on X, formerly Twitter. She took a picture of of this social media post and said, "Women in poker respect us. Also, women in poker." Then showing this 15-way chop, implying like, hey, like if we want respect in poker, should we really be doing a 15-way chop? She followed that up with some others because it was a very engaging post, right? A lot of women and other players chimed in, saying this is obvious. Obviously, this is controversial, and I don't desire to argue. I want more women, more trans women in poker, but this is a mental sport, and not everyone can win and be happy. We can all meet up and play Wolf, play board games, etc., and enjoy each other, not chop a tournament 15 ways. So there are some people who echoed that. There are some who, went the other way. I don't think it matters that it was a women's event. I've seen big chops elsewhere in, Run Good Poker Series or whatever it might be. 15 way is a little extreme, but I don't think it's the most extreme that I've seen. I'm like you. I wouldn't chop unless it was somehow very beneficial to me. For instance, in a 15-way chop, if I have 2 big blinds and they say, hey, let's even chop. Sure. Yeah, let's do 100%. It, In this instance, from what I could gather from reading, it sounded like the average stack was like 10 big blinds, where 15th place would have busted and got 1,600. Instead, I think everyone got like at least 4,000 or close to it. So it's not a bad money-wise there. And, I tend to agree that, hey, it's their prize pool. They can do with it as they please. But I would say in any events, regardless if it's a women's event, if it's, a nightly down at the South Point where people chop every night, every day, right? Is this. So let's say some of these ladies go to the World Series of Poker here in a few weeks and play the ladies event. I'm sure a lot of them, if not all of them, are going to do that. And you get down to the final 15 in that one. You're not going to be chopping, right? You're not going to chop that final table. It's not allowed at the WSOP. That's valuable experience that they were in a position that they could have had that valuable experience, right? The end game of a tournament, which is so rare to get to. Instead, you chop it and you don't get that. And so what happens when the moment comes that you are making a World Series of Poker final table. And yeah, maybe you do all right. Maybe you've been there, some of them, but maybe some haven't. I just think it's a very valuable opportunity, and I've taken that into account before when people have asked me to chop.
I do think that's the argument for why you shouldn't chop in situations like this is whatever dollar EV you're getting, it does not compare to the experience that you would get playing a final table that you can apply if you later make a deep run at the World Series of Poker or in a major event. But yeah, like you said, it really just comes down to it's their prize pool. If they were all on board with it and no one was pressured into it, then yeah, they're free to do that.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to all of them, though. They did bank some money. They all looked happy. And, if they all agreed to it, more power to them. But if you are ever in a chop, you don't want to chop, don't do it. One of my favorite chop stories was involving the bracelet. And my heads-up opponent, chops weren't allowed at the WSOP, but it was one of those, hey, let's go talk on the break. And he was very concerned about the money, and he made what was a very fair chop proposition, giving me a little extra. And then he said, I don't know, and then we can just flip for the bracelet. And I knew right then and there, I was like, I can't do this, because if I chop, he doesn't care about the bracelet as much as I do, and he might just go all in blind. He's going to start playing stupid if I take that pressure off of him. And so I didn't. I might have been able to negotiate, like, all right, how about you take $5K and give me the bracelet? But I don't want to win it that way either. Yeah. And I'm glad that I didn't. I'm glad that I ended up winning. I don't know how I would feel about it if I didn't, but it just gave it that much more meaning, at least to me. And, as far as like a title here, how much meaning and pride do you take away when it was a 15-way chop? The money's great, but the title, I think does get diluted in any chops, right? When that happens. So, but regardless, it was a hot topic, but, we'll just have to look forward to the World Series of Poker Ladies event, which is right around the corner. One lady who won't be playing it, I don't know her name, but everybody knows her on social media, was a lady who was playing a WSOP event and ended up getting kicked out. And she was quite vocal about it. There was a social media clip that made the rounds, and we're going to show it to you right now.
You're going to arrest me? You're going to throw me out of here?
Screaming doesn't make you
want to
right.
arrest me and throw me out of here? It's my call. I'm in this tournament. I paid for it.
$1,500. You keep talking about how much
I am not going to. I've done nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong.
Doing 3 chips.
I'm playing my hand.
Where's the? You're good.
Verbally abused. And nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, harassed, I mean, threatened, security's being called on me. I haven't done anything wrong. I got 9 people parading me. I'm not allowed to stick up for myself. I've done nothing wrong.
Sir, I wouldn't know I should word it.
I have done nothing wrong.
Oh, ma'am, from security. Unfortunately, you're being asked to leave the table now.
And I'll sue this place. I will sue you for discrimination. That is what's happening.
Because your behavior being last.
It is not my behavior. It is their behavior, and it's not being properly policed. This guy's cursing. These people have been cursing. They all have been making fun of me and parading me. They've all been harassing me. I haven't done anything wrong. I've done nothing wrong. I play by the rules. I don't do anything wrong.
Yes, we're going to be trespassing a female.
No! Why would I refuse to leave?
We're losing all this time, too. I want to get on with it. Come on. Drag her ass out of here, please.
So I am what? You're kicking me out of the tournament.
It's going to be the third hand.
Okay. Are you kidding me?
Button's gonna be moved, guys. All right. Dead button here. I'm sorry, not a dead button. One big.
That's insane. That's insane.
All right, here we go. Good luck, everybody. Have a great time.
I'm thrown out of this tournament, and I did nothing wrong. Nothing. This whole table is ganging up on me. I spent $8,000 to stay here. You've been harassing me. You got 9 people harassing me. Why aren't you saying anything to them? Why is this acceptable? Talk in the hallway. I spent money to be here.
One big fat? Is it one big fat?
The chips stick?
You understand I'm upset? How come nobody else understands why I'm upset?
Oh, the chips gotta come out.
One big
Kicking me out here for what?
One big
I haven't done anything. I got nothing to lose. You're shaking this whole thing up against me. No, they are all allowed to yell, but I'm not. They're allowed
Next
to
hand,
make
please.
that.
We already lost about 30 minutes with the play.
What have I got to lose? What have I got to lose?
All right, ma'am.
What are you going to do? We haven't done already.
Property I hereby advise you.
Put me out of this whole fucking thing. I worked my ass off. I have nothing to show for it. But you guys are over the fucking
All right, so there you have it, a very heated situation at the WSOP. A lot of people were chiming in, wanting to know the backstory. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about the backstory, what was said before that video. I just know what you saw on the video, and that ultimately she was asked to leave the tournament, and that they did refund her the buy-in. Connor, what did you make of this whole situation?
I feel bad for her, and I do wish we had the full backstory and the situation, because this is kind of a classic clip that'll go viral on the internet. It's pretty entertaining. It's pretty controversial. But the truth is that we really don't know the full story. So I think originally Alan Kessler shared a clip that somebody had sent him that shows kind of like a faraway view on the other side of the tournament room, her being escorted out, and I think people were applauding and whatnot. And then later, another longer video got shared that showed her at the table, showed the floor and security approaching her and letting her know that she'd been 86 from the property. But she starts saying that players had been berating her at the table and that she hadn't done anything wrong. And, you know, she does get a little bit, hysterical, if you will. But the truth is that we don't know what happened before that. There could be some validity to what she is saying. We don't know how she was being treated at the table. So I don't know. We don't know the full story. But of course, if something like this happens, it's going to go viral. It's going to be something we talk about here. There's not really a way around that. But I don't know. Maybe more information will come out about this.
Kyle, do you have an opinion on it?
I echo what you said, Connor, in terms of objectively it's an entertaining clip. That's why it's going viral and everything. But on the other side of it, if this woman was done wrong and the situation was to be made fun of, it is sad to see in, I think it was a $1,500 tournament that, that's $1,500. I think it was even maybe an Omaha tournament or something, that somebody was pushed to that point. Maybe that behavior is consistent with her outside of the table and everything. And it was, we just don't know the full story in terms of, was she in the wrong? Was the table in the wrong? It's sad to see somebody get that emotional, that upset, whether it was warranted or not, we don't know. But there's definitely two sides of it. An entertaining clip, obviously, but the human part of me is very uneasy with it, that it went to that level in a tournament like that. And I just hope that everyone can kind of like move on from the situation. It was very emotional.
Yeah, I certainly empathize with what you guys are saying. I will say this, in any situation that arises at the table, that's not how you really should handle it.
No.
Getting loud, screaming, being vocal, making a scene while you're still there playing cards is not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's like dealing with a cop, right? You're not going to argue your way out of a ticket. You just need to try to de-escalate in a situation where you're at the table. If you're having an issue, if people are making fun of you, call the floor over, let them deal with it, or take a few hands off and go talk to the floor or security or whoever it might be. When it's so public like that, then it just tends to escalate, and then we see things like this. And unfortunately, we, do see things like this, like once a year type of thing. Sometimes it's caught on camera, sometimes it's blown up. In this instance, it was, but hopefully it was all resolved. Like I said, they refunded her money, so hopefully, she was happy. Maybe she didn't get banned. It was like a one-day thing. Who knows? We don't know, but certainly one of those clips that made the headlines this week. Now, we mentioned things that make a scene. There was a clip going around, and I have no context for this one, but I got to show this on the show. I don't even know what casino it was from. Team Lucky's Matt Glantz tweeted, that's where I saw it. Somewhere in Vegas, this guy is just gets on a craps table and starts grabbing chips and throwing them around, making them rain. Clearly some kind of crazy situation. Check it out.
Oh shit. Oh shit. He's going to jail. He's going to jail.
All right, so there you have it, guys. What the hell was going on there?
My first reaction there was, where is John Sofin? Can we make sure that this wasn't John Sofin in the clip? Is he safe? Thankfully, it wasn't our colleague John. We don't know who this was, but yeah, this was another entertaining clip. My favorite tweet from this, I think it was from Las Vegas locally. They said, casino security used to deal with stuff like this with cattle prods. And so I don't know. That's probably not the right way to do it anymore, but I don't think we'll be seeing this guy at the WSOP or anywhere else in Vegas anytime soon.
Yeah, craps. I don't know that game very well. And I mean, this does not make me want to play it. It's just wild. Like one of those, you don't see this stuff in Ontario. Nice
Not
Canadians, right? No.
I mean, I just don't know what dad joke I should use. Make it rain, don't splash the pot, sir. There's a lot of different angles we can go with this, but what's something I did notice in the clip that I actually liked to see is that I think not a dealer, but whoever's like in charge of the dice or whatever, the casino staff, they just kind of let it happen, which is good because it's not their money. That's a unpredictable situation. You don't know what's going to happen. So the fact that they were taking care of themselves in that situation was good to see. And security stepped in very abruptly, obviously. But yeah, that was something.
That's Vegas. What happens here stays here, they say. But we mentioned the woman who ultimately got kicked out was an Omaha event. I believe it was the event number 43, the 1500 mixed Omaha. So pot limit Omaha, high-low, Omaha, high-low limit, and Big O. And just so happens that Phil Hellmuth made a run in this one. But before he did, he took a break from the WSOP. Some people were like, where's Phil Hellmuth? And then all of a sudden on his Twitter, he started sharing pictures. He took a break and went up to Montana for a family wedding. And, he shared some pics with the bride and groom, and he's in his, all dressed up. And I don't know, I was happy to see it for a couple of reasons. Like, I do like Phil. I like to live vicariously, when he goes on these trips and shares these pictures. Yeah, a lot of people like to make fun of him. But more than that, I like I know Phil from Wisconsin. I know Phil's altruistic side, his family side, and the rest of the world kind of got to see it, right? Yeah. He's taken a break from the World Series of Poker, which means so much to him, but family first. And I just think that said a lot about Hellmuth and, kind of his character. And Connor, what did you think? It's always like, where's Hellmuth? Where's Phil? And then all of a sudden, boom, he's at a wedding somewhere else.
It is strange whenever Hellmuth is not at the WSOP, but I agree. It is great to see him with his family. He's always so supportive of them. He's always tweeting about his sons or his sister, or, he likes name dropping the celebrities and all that. But the truth is he cares about the people in his life, and he knows that he has a big platform, and he likes shouting them out when he can. One thing though, Phil, I'm not a fashion expert by any means. I'm probably the farthest thing from it, but Phil's just wearing, the coat and then just a white undershirt that's pretty much see-through. You can see his belly button like a V-neck undershirt. Phil, you got to throw a dress shirt on, and this is coming from me. I know nothing, but that's my 2 cents.
Will you at least give him props for not wearing his Aria hat or some sort of Aria gear?
I think we all thought he would be in that gold and black tracksuit outfit, so it was nice that he could, put that outfit away for a day.
He ultimately made a run in this event when he came back. So there was, 853 entries in this 1,500 limit, and then we were on Phil watch. This happens every year when Phil Hellmuth is down to like the final 3 tables, 2 tables, and then it's all systems go. If he makes a final table, he did make the final table here. Everyone was glued to the TV screen, to the updates. For those of us who were here, we were around the table seeing if he could get it done and capture number 18, which would have been awesome, right? Phil Ivey just wins number 11, and then Hellmuth answers back. But unfortunately, he didn't get the job done, ultimately finished in 4th place for $65,000. I've had the privilege of being at, I think, 4 or 5, maybe 6 of Hellmuth's bracelet wins. It is a special moment. It is always exciting. Connor, what was it like for you? Like, you're relatively new into the poker world, and here's Phil. Did you feel that energy and excitement?
I definitely felt the energy and excitement. After Phil Ivey winning a bracelet, we were kind of getting spoiled, and it felt like Hellmuth might do it because we're getting all these crazy storylines, big bracelet winners this year. But yeah, from a media perspective, when one of those guys goes deep, or especially Hellmuth, him more than anybody else, it just really changes the energy. And like you said, it's an all hands on deck situation. I wasn't covering that event. I had already finished for the day. But again, we're all watching the stream. We're communicating with each other on Slack and things like that. And there's so many people involved. And those are the fun moments in this industry for sure, is when you get to be on the news side of things when Hellmuth is running deep. And it's unfortunate that he didn't win. But again, it's good prep and it was a lot of fun.
This was your buddy. We just
My
showed.
buddy.
Yeah, last episode you were on, you were getting his autograph on the shirts, and then we did a little clip, and he tweeted it.
Yep.
You and Hellmuth.
He's undeniable, man. You can call Phil a lot of things, but the accolades, they do speak for themselves. The runs keep happening. You can call him, however you want to analyze his game, he still gets the results, he gets the runs, and everybody wants to watch it. It's just, he's undeniable, he's consistent, and if you were to make him up and put him in a TV show, I'd say that's too unrealistic. He's a great character for poker. I'm a Phil Hellmuth fan, and he's entertaining, man. He is must-watch TV in the situations, and it's fun to see my buddy Phil go on these runs that he's so passionate about.
Still a lot of time left in the World Series of Poker for him to capture number 18. We'll have to wait and see. I always think he's going to win a bracelet, and who knows? He's got some good momentum right now. One man who doesn't have a lot of momentum, unfortunately, is Daniel Negreanu. I don't know what to say, man. Like, we all see your vlogs. We all know the hands. We're reporting them. We're going to talk about him. Like, he's not playing bad. He's not getting out there just punting and tilting things off. Like, he's playing good poker, but man, he's going in day after day and kind of getting his balls kicked in. Connor, you made a great point just yesterday about what's happening to him. Why don't you tell everybody?
I'm kind of proud of what we're talking about, although I hate to see Negreanu go on a downswing, but I kind of noticed this because I've been covering a lot of these high rollers. I was covering the 25K high roller that he played, and then more recently the 100K. And during the 25K high roller, he busted out, I think it was on day 2, where it was small blind versus big blind. I think he had king jack, and he jams into aces. So, super tilting situation, super unfortunate. A similar thing happened in the 100K. I think it might have been small blind and big blind as well, but basically he runs into aces, busts out. Comes back in later the day, fires a second bullet, and it ended up being like a multi-way pot where he gets it in on the turn with like a wheel draw and a flush draw, but he was once again against aces, and he busted out. So there's 3 high roller buy-ins, $225,000 worth of buy-ins that Negreanu busted by running in to the pre-flop nut hand pocket aces, which I just thought that was interesting and just so brutal for Negreanu because, like I said, a lot of this was blind versus blind situation. That's just kind of bad luck. And I know that when those things happen, a couple of those things happen back to back, it can just be like heartbreaking. So I think we all feel for Negreanu, and hopefully things get better for him.
And we get to see it because he's doing the daily vlogs. I've made it a tradition every year to watch them. And he did take note. He notices this aces situation. In fact, here's a little clip from his vlog, talking about running into pocket aces.
Oh, wait. You know what I just realized? I was in a hand against fucking aces again. Aces. If there was aces in there, I had something and couldn't beat aces today. It was unbelievable. Anyway, I got to reset my brain here. This is like, I've been good all till like the last couple of days. Hit massive stress peak. So brutal.
So there you have it. Maybe Negreanu can turn this thing around. I know you got to be rooting for him, fellow Canadian.
Good Canadian boy. He plays the game the right way. A lot of hockey references. So
he loves his hockey.
It's tough to see. Like, obviously, growing up in Ontario, Negreanu is a lot of people's poker idol, and a little bit more so for me and everything. And it's tough to see because he's another one of those guys, man. He started early days, and he's keeping up. He's competing in everything. And he is actually just running bad. It's tough to see. And I think it was, I don't know if it was last year's vlog or the one before, he was running very bad at the WSOP. And it was a little story about him like tossing his phone or something. And people were not too happy about that. I'm like, okay, well, nobody got hurt. And like, the guy's down like it's emotional. He's competitive. I get it. Yes, we would like to control our emotions a little bit, but dude, like if you're in a downswing, I cannot imagine a downswing that bad. I'm down a couple $100 and I'm, rethinking my life and everything. Yep. So I cannot imagine. And he's competitive. It's emotional. I get it. And I hope it turns around for him.
Yeah. Well, I think, he had a strong start to the year. I think before the WSOP is over, we're going to see something out in Negreanu.
Yeah.
Maybe another bracelet. It's been a long time, 10 years, just like Phil Ivey, I believe. Actually, 11 years for Negreanu. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Tune into his vlogs every day. It's a fun journey. He gives you a behind-the-scenes look of everything. And, check out the episode that I did with him here in the studio right before the WSOP. Him and David Baker came in and talked about the 25K Fantasy League, which we'll talk about here in a moment. One of the other fun stories that happened was involving the Hachems, Australian royalty in at least poker sense, right? Joe Hachem won the 2005 World Series of Poker main event. Next year will be his 20th anniversary, which is just crazy to me. But he has a son who has followed in his footsteps and plays poker, Daniel Hachem. And he was at the World Series of Poker and he jumped into this new event, which was the first ever WSOP No Limit Hold'em PLO bomb pot mix event. So what it was basically you play, I think, 9 hands of No Limit, then they do a bomb pot. Then you play 9 hands of PLO and they do a bomb pot. Double board bomb pots. If you play cash games, you get dealt your hand, they run out 2 flops, and then you pick up the action from there. And everybody had put in money pre-flop. So action-packed game, very popular in cash games, live streams, things like that. WSOP said, let's give it a go, which I think is great. Like, I like it when the WSOP keeps its fingers on the pulse of the poker world and says, like, okay, this game is popular. Let's try a short deck event. Let's get a Badoogie event in there. Let's do a bomb pot. So kudos to the WSOP for throwing this event. And the players responded, 1,312 entrants. I got to assume with a number like that, they might run it back next year. But it was Daniel Hachem going deep and kind of making waves because his dad came and was sweating him on the rail, which was cool because you literally have Daniel Hachem playing while Joe Hachem is watching while Joe Hachem's banner from winning the main event in 2005 is hanging right behind them. And Daniel Hachem, if he would have won, he didn't. He finished runner-up, 1 spot short, $180,000 though. But had he won, they would have just become the 3rd ever father-son pair to win WSOP bracelets. Do either of you know the other 2 combos? I can't play the Jeopardy music because of, the legalities.
I have no idea.
There is a Phil Hellmuth. He's Phil Hellmuth Jr.
I mean, one is so obvious. You guys are going to be like, oh, of course. Of course.
The
Brunson.
Parrys.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
The Parrys.
Yeah, the Brunsons. Yeah,
Brunson.
Todd Brunson and Doyle Brunson is one.
Ralph Perry, Sean Perry?
No.
No?
No. Sean Perry doesn't have a bracelet, does he?
No, I don't even know if Ralph does.
Yeah, but I think Ralph does, but not Sean. He's got like a Poker Go Tour title.
The Brunson ones, I didn't even.
This one would be harder. It's Donica O'Day and his son Owen O'Day. Irish royalty there. But, we almost had the Hachems doing it. So that was just a really exciting thing. Ultimately, though, it was Xinjiang Liu taking it down. I actually think I nailed that name. I usually butcher.
I did it,
I'm sure.
I usually butcher names. I think I got that one. Taking it down for a bracelet and $270,000. And, he may not have gotten there, but man, I got to imagine Joe was very proud of his son. I know Joe pretty well. And, Scott Lazar, who was at his final table in 2005, they're good friends. He was there watching. Just one of those special moments at the World Series of Poker. Interestingly, in the same room at the same time, another Australian was playing for a bracelet up on the main stage. This was in the $10,000 stud championship. And it was pretty stacked affair as these fields are, right? You're not going to pay $10,000 unless you're a good stud player and a big name. 107 of them did, and it was a pretty stacked final table. You had Andre Akari, Juha Helpi, Robert Mizrahi, Michael Lang, Jason Daly, but ultimately came down to James Obst, who was that Australian I was mentioning, and Paul Volpe. And while Joe Hachem was on the rail along with a bunch of other Aussies, nobody was at the mother stage watching this. I don't think it's because it was James Opes or Paul Volpe. I think it's just because it's heads up stud and who wants to watch that. Ultimately, James Opes came out on top for $260,000 and his second gold bracelet, which, it's, I think, winning 1 is hard. It's the dream, but I think winning 2 is the moment where you're like, okay, it wasn't a fluke. Yeah. This was probably a fluke. Hopefully, maybe I win another one later.
Not a fluke, Chad.
You got it. You earned it.
Right? I want to go over some other quick hitters, if you will. We're not going to linger too long, but some others who have won bracelets. You had in event number 43, which was the 1,500 mixed pot limit Omaha that we mentioned with the Phil Hellmuth finishing in 4th. After Hellmuth busted, they went on an overnight break. They came back the next day, played 3-handed, and it was Magnus Edengren who took it down. He's out of Sweden for almost $200,000. Event number 44 was the $2,000 no limit hold'em, and it was longshoreman ships. $2,000 no limit hold'em for $410,000. Longshoreman. I don't know. Why is it a longshoreman? I didn't write this recap. That was the headline, but it was won by Jared Kingery. He must be a longshoreman. Is that it? Connor, do you know? Did you write this one?
I think it was Callum. I have no idea.
Kirk. Damn you, Kirk. Why are you teasing me with this headline?
Could be anything.
And I don't have time to... I'm actually a longshoreman back in Washington, so I don't play that much. That's the headline.
There you go.
Oh, well, it sucked me
Great
in,
job, Kirk.
Wins that for $410,000. I was going to give a recap, but this one required yet another extra day on the $10,000 horse championship. There's 5 players remaining as we record this. They've got to change these structures. And I'm not the only one saying this. Negreanu says it in his vlog. The Poker Go guys are saying this. All these $10,000 championships are spilling over into extra days.
Yeah.
And I think that people are starting to get fed up with it, right? Like, same with events like a no limit event. Like, you want to be in the money at the end of the day, unless it's the ultra deep stack or, one of those kind of tournaments. Anyways, this one still 5 players remaining. We'll have to recap it in next episode. But Benny Glaser is the chip leader, and man, that guy is just a beast. Mike Lea, he's the short stack right now, but he's a Canadian guy, one of the best. Steve Zolotow, Lawrence Brandt, and Maxime Pisarenko, another 25K fantasy draft guys. So speaking of the 25K fantasy draft, this will be our quick update. So as we're recording this, technically Team The Dinkers is on top with 663 points. They've been on top for quite a while now. I've been recapping this every day for Poker News in our hub. Check it out. It's right at the top. You'll see 25K fantasy. But Team Sternheimer, owned by Philip Sternheimer, has 612 points. And today, as we're recording this, has Benny Glaser, also has Chris Vitch, who's at a final table. So probably by the end of the day, Team Sternheimer is going to take the lead, which is very interesting developments. But I wanted to go over some studs and duds because that's always fun in fantasy, anything. I play fantasy football myself. So here are some of the studs from the league. Yoao Simiao just hit a field bonus in one of the big no-limit events. So he's the ultimate performer right now, 223 points for Team Sternheimer, right? It really jumped him up the rankings thanks to him. Robert Mizrahi, Team The Dinkers, 177 points. Kelvin Anderson, Team Sepiel, 177 points. Scott Seaver, 165 for Team AJ's Eagles. And Adam Hendricks. Those are your top 5 people. Now, all the way at the bottom, there are 4 players who were drafted who have 0 points. I mean, I could say, do you have any guesses? But, I mean, there's so many. There's 152 people who were drafted. I'll tell you them. David Peters.
Oh,
but he just had a kid, I think.
That's a
so
name.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he's more focused on family and all that right now. But for Team AJ's Eagles, who paid $13 for him, that's not, that's the biggest dud so far because that was the most that was paid out of these guys. Danny Tang, Team Sternheimer, 0 points. Even though they have a lot of points, Danny Tang is not doing his job because they paid $9 for him and he's not there.
I believe he bubbled the 100K yesterday, so that would have helped if he could have squeaked in a mid cash there.
Darren Elias, Team Chingas, 0 points. But that's just kind of how Darren Elias rolls. I love Darren. He crushes the WPT. He owns the WPT. Not so much the WSOP. For whatever reason, he's not had that same success. And I haven't seen him this much this summer. He's probably playing cash games. Poker Hall of Famer Eli Elezra.
Yeah. I haven't seen much of him either.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully he is just out there crushing those high-stakes cash games wherever they might be. But those are your 4 biggest duds right now in 25K fantasy. A lot of players who have only earned 1 point, 2 point, 3 points for. Not going to go over all of those. But if you want to check out more, head on over to 25kfantasy.com or pokernews.com. We have a hub. We're doing updates every day. Here are the current point standings. I do sweats. I wake up every morning, go through all the papers and say, all right, this player is still in and identify it. And you can go to our live updates and then sweat them there. So I'm very interested. I love the fantasy poker and we'll just have to wait and see. Did you see my story about David Sklansky?
Yes, I did see the story.
You didn't see it? You're going to have to read this one because it was pretty good. Way back in February, I learned that David Sklansky was going to take 2 of his bracelets to the TV show Pawn Stars, which films here in Las Vegas. So I met up with David Sklansky, and those who are listening on audio only don't see me saying bracelets and, doing the air quotations. I say that because these bracelets were from 1982, the year the World Series of Poker stopped giving bracelets and instead awarded watches. There was 14 events. One of them was a mixed doubles event. And so that means there were 15 of these watches ever awarded. And most of them are lost to time, from what I could tell in my research. I think Billy Baxter has 2. Chip Reese had won 1, but I did some research. Only the lid to the watch still exists. And 10 of them, I don't know where. And then Sklansky has 2. And he was looking to take them there, sell them for $50,000, which I don't know how I feel about that. Like, on the one hand, we've seen bracelets go for many thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars for like a main event bracelet that was auctioned off. But then you see like like my bracelet here, I might be able to get a couple thousand for it or something like that. I don't know. What do you think about the value of a bracelet? Like if somebody came to you and said, and you had a decent amount of money, like would you buy a bracelet for $2,000?
Personally, I would never buy someone's bracelet. I wouldn't sell my own unless, of course, finances absolutely called for it. But I mean, there might just be someone who casually enjoys poker who just has too much money and be like, what'd be cool to have in my house type thing, like a bracelet. But as a poker player, I could never see myself buying someone's bracelet or selling my own. So
what about Connor? You're like me. You love poker history. Say what you will, like these are rare. You're not going to see them come up for sale hardly ever. And it is an interesting piece of poker history. 1982, long time ago, the year that I was born. And David Sklansky is a name in poker. He, had written 18 books, I think, on poker and gambling. He arguably should be in the Poker Hall of Fame. I did a poll in that article, and I think 77% said he should be in the Poker Hall of Fame. And I don't disagree. But what do you think, Connor? These cool, something you would like, not going to pay $50K for, though, I'm sure.
I wish we had Jesse Fullen here because he's really the Pawn Stars expert and would probably be able to tell us what the true value of these would be. I just don't know enough about pawning or how much you would get something like this, but I will say this. You mentioned that, like you, I'm a fan of poker history, and I found this to be a really fascinating story because not only is it David Sklansky, who's one of the minds of poker, one of the first people to write about poker and write about poker theory, but also these are these rare watches. You mentioned 10 of them. We don't know where they are. There's only 15 in existence. All the historical context is there to make these a really valuable and unique item. So I don't know exactly what the price would be, but for some, for a really wealthy poker enthusiast or fan of poker history or something like a poker museum or something, these are a very rare piece of not only poker history, but WSOP history. And David Sklansky, who, like you said, should probably be in the Poker Hall of Fame. So I think these are valuable, and I was excited to see you cover this, Chad.
Yeah, I would like to see I've said this for years, a physical Poker Hall of Fame, right? We have the wall over there at the Horseshoe. That's about it. If you had a place where you can do like an exhibit, like a museum for the Poker Hall of Fame, much like Canton, Ohio for football, right? Not on that grand scale, but somewhere in Vegas, there's got to be a place where you can do a physical Poker Hall of Fame and have these sort of things there curated. Or if a famous poker player passes away, their family can donate, anything that they might have, because right now, who knows what they do with that kind of stuff? It gets lost to time. Yeah. And then you can also monetize it. These players who are at the World Series of Poker would probably pay $5, $10 to go walk around the Poker Hall of Fame and take pictures with this cool sort of memorabilia. And WSOP has done that sort of stuff in the past. At the Rio, they had a rotunda where they have displayed different things, different bracelets from over the years. They gave gold platters one year, and so those were on display once. But you just don't see them. You can't just go see them anywhere. For these bracelets, I do know they're still available. He did not strike a deal with Pawn Stars. I think what I was kind of learned after the fact was, like you said, these are going to be specialized to a collector who has money and just loves this sort of stuff. Yeah. And that was kind of what they, I think told him. He is still looking to sell them. So if anybody's out there listening and might be interested, you can get the pair of them for $50K, or I think he said he would sell them individually for $27,000. Maybe he'll negotiate. I don't know. But if you're interested, hit me up and I will put you in contact with David Sklansky, or if you see him at the World Series of Poker, because he's been playing this year, you can ask him all about it. But in the meantime, do me a favor and check out this article. It is a very interesting piece that blends David Sklansky's his legacy, with this interesting part of poker, World Series of Poker history from 1982. So really happy with this one, and hope you will check it out. I'll link to it in the show notes. All right, gentlemen, one last story to talk about, and it is a sad one. Some unexpected news just the other day, and I had the unfortunate assignment to write this one, which I often do that when somebody passes away. And this one was especially sad. It was Matthew Parry, who I don't know how old he was, but I'm going to guess in his 30s or early 30s. A young guy, a rising star in the poker world in a lot of regards, very successful. He had just won $120,000 at a Wynn Summer Classic event, the PLO event there, just like a week before. He had almost $2 million in lifetime earnings, according to the Hendon Mob. And last summer at the 2023 World Series of Poker, he took down event number 82, the $3,000 pot limit Omaha six-handed event for $480,000 and a gold bracelet. So a gold bracelet winner, almost won one online, finishing runner-up to Nick Wogente in the 2020 WSOP.com online bracelet event. So just a guy, like his name was out there. And so when I first learned that he had passed away, we don't know the details. His family went on his social media, just that he was in Vegas and that he unexpectedly passed away. And Connor, you and I have been doing poker news for quite a while. And unfortunately, stories like this are inevitable. We're always writing about somebody who's passed away. But I think for this one, were you as shocked as I was?
Super shocked. And anytime a poker player or someone in the poker community passes away, it's tragic and sad for the whole community. But this one especially hit hard just because of how active he's been recently. You mentioned he had a win over at the Wynn. He's had these deep runs at the World Series of Poker. He's literally been playing this summer. And so for this to happen in Las Vegas in the middle of the World Series of Poker shocked everybody and is really sad and unfortunate to read about. You did see a lot of players like Garrett Adelstein and Jeremy Osmus coming out and saying they have great memories playing with him, nothing but good things to say. So it was nice to see him memorialized, but all around just a very tragic story.
Yeah, Kyle, you've been at the World Series of Poker, not only playing a little bit, but helping out with Poker News content. It's a hard thing to juggle when we were there at the World Series. We were both sitting in the office. And on one hand, you've got people playing for a bracelet that you want to celebrate and they have this jovial mood, but then you learn a news like this, right? And it's kind of this weird situation. It
kind of brings you back to reality really quickly that, it almost sounds cheesy in a way, but it's like the most true thing. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We don't know what's around the corner. And it's, I didn't know the guy personally or anything, but he seems like he was in his prime, and it's just so young, so much potential clearly. And it brings you back to reality for sure in terms of just what's important and what, it brings you back to reality.
Yeah. No, anything can happen. Life is fragile. And, it is a wake-up call. You might be running bad this summer or something, but in the grand scheme of things, right, is it really that bad? And, think about that. Enjoy the opportunity, the privilege of getting to play at the World Series of Poker, but do remember Matthew Parry. And he himself was a WSOP bracelet winner and will be remembered by many in the poker community. In our condolences to his friends and family. All right, gentlemen, before we end this episode, I got some questions for you guys. What's up next? What's coming up? Kyle, your time in Vegas is coming to an end here shortly, no?
It was supposed to. Oh. I lost a $1,500 Super Turbo today, and I think I'm going to extend my visit. I love working for Poker News, being able to be a part of the room and everything. I want to go back to streaming, but I am not done playing live tournaments, so I think I'm going to extend my trip for a couple more days, so probably around 2 more weeks from today, just play some more live tournaments. Going to get back to Twitch, my sort of bread and butter playing online poker, but I'm having too much fun, man. I think I'm going to stick around.
Does that mean you get to play in the $600 Poker News Deepstacks Championship?
Oh, we will be firing, we will be vlogging, and we will be lasting longer than 2 hours, unlike today, but we are going to hopefully make a deep run in that.
When is that, Connor? Is it coming up on Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
25th.
It's coming up.
Yeah, so the next episode that we record here at Level 9 we'll record it the day before, so we're going to talk all about it then. I'm going to get to fire it. It's the first event I'll have played, first hand of poker I'll have played since the Casino Employees event this summer, so I'm looking forward to that. Connor, will you be playing? Are you going to be reporting it? What's your plan? And tell us, you've got your own podcast, and I know you've done some great guests. Give us a little shout out there too.
I won't be reporting it. I will try and play it. I still need to look at my schedule and see if I can swing it, but I would love to represent Poker News in that event, the first one ever, so super excited for that. But yeah, you mentioned that I've been pretty busy with this Life Outside Poker podcast that you've kindly plugged here and that we've talked about a bit, and it's going really well. At the start of the summer, it seemed pretty difficult to coordinate with players and find guests, but I've gotten in a bit of a rhythm and have been able to talk to some really interesting people. A few episodes ago, we talked about, the Bruce Buffer interview that I got to do. That went live this week, and that was a lot of fun and a really special experience. I have a few more guests lined up and some episodes that will be coming out. I believe the next one will be Kevin Martin, and that's a special one because we got to talk about Game of Gold, who he wants to see for Game of Gold Season 2, but also he announced this week that he's going to be on Canada's The Amazing Race. And so Kevin Martin, who everyone knows from Big Brother, he's getting back into the reality TV streets. Chad, I'm sure you're excited about that. But that was big news for him, and we got to talk about all that. So, yeah, that's what's coming up for the podcast.
I hope I can find a way to watch it since I'm not in Canada, but you are. So, maybe you...
I'll tape it on my VCR, and I'll send it to you guys. I'll get it within 3 days.
You'll make fun of me, but I still have a VCR, so that could work. And I guess we won't spoil too much, but I know, because I helped arrange it, you got a pretty big guest this weekend. Hopefully it goes through, and that one will be very exciting because he's more of a mainstream guest. Perhaps we're talking Bruce Buffer level in terms of reach outside, I would think. We'll have to wait and see. But check it out, Life Outside Poker podcast. You can subscribe anywhere, but you can also watch it on the YouTube. Speaking of which, if you're listening to this right now, and a lot of people do, if you're listening to this in your earbuds, you're missing a lot because we are in studio. Yep. We're showing clips. We're showing highlights. You get to see our beautiful faces. So if you can, check out the Poker News Podcast on YouTube. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And just one last plug for the Poker News Deepstacks Championship $600 buy-in. It is Tuesday, June 25th at 10 a.m. It's going to be a 4-day event. Start with 30,000 in chips. It is a great structure, 40-minute levels. And day 2 goes to, it looks like days 2 through 4, 60-minute levels. So it's going to be a great structure. And awaiting the winner is going to be not only a WSOP gold bracelet, but a very special, coveted Poker News, one-of-a-kind gold coin that is valued at $6,000. More than a bracelet, more than a couple bracelets in terms of just pure gold. So that will be very cool. And who knows? I'm sure we're going to do something with us that do play, like some sort of bounty, like you knock us out, you're going to get a swag bag or something. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. But there'll definitely be a last longer amongst the Poker News crew.
Yep.
And so we will get those details in the next episode, along with all other sorts of World Series of Poker news. In the meantime, check out the 2024 WSOP Hub on PokerNews.com, on all our social media channels. We are there every single day doing great coverage, live updates, videos, social. You got it. We'll be back with a new Poker News podcast next week. Until then, we'll keep a seat open for you.